Hello, this is Beastly Eel, and on this episode, we are going to be talking about the latest episode of Loki. So, if you have not seen it, pause this video and watch it, because there are major spoilers ahead. Major spoilers. All right. Um, so I'm gonna just rapid fire because there's a lot to talk about in this, and I want to make sure I hopefully talk about everything. So the episode starts with how we find out that Sylvie is on the run. So apparently, she was categorized as a variant at a very young age when she was a young child. She was playing some game. Well, I shouldn't say that. She was playing with toys, little ships and stuff, and that's when she got pulled in. And so when she got pulled in, she gets sent in. She basically gets kind of thrown around. She sees all these problems, and then she escapes. The judge, I keep calling her the judge, the woman who has been, I consider being the judge, the one who oversaw the court case of the original Loki. She was the one that captured this variant, and the girl escapes, takes her little pocket thing, and escapes. And apparently, everywhere she went caused a variance, a Nexus event, except for when she found out that it had to do with um, what's it called? Apocalypses. Why I couldn't think of that. So we finally get to the present, or at least where the last episode ended. So we see the two of them on planet, basically watching the whole planet be destroyed. As this is going on, they're talking to each other, and they seem to start to care for each other. Back at the TVA, Morbius is trying to figure out where the variants are. They're all on high alert, trying to figure out what's going on. We also see the judge go up to the timekeepers. She goes up. We don't see any interaction between them, but we see the three timekeepers and then her coming down, basically saying, "We're all in trouble. We've got to get this shit done quick." So what happens is when the two Lokis start to, I don't want to say fall in love, but start to have feelings for each other, an Nexus event happens because neither one of them are supposed to exist. But not only that, they're of the same person. So them like falling in love should not be existing because they should never have been together to begin with. Like they shouldn't have existed together. So the next event like goes skyrocket. So they go in and capture the two of them. So the two of them go to the TVA, collars on and everything. So they get separated from each other. Sylvie has, I think it's 3 times the amount of guards that Loki has, which is hilarious. Um, so Morbius brings Loki to his room and puts him in what's called, I call it a time prison, and I think that's what they call it too. So he gets put in to relive a memory over and over again. It's apparently when he cut Lady Sif's hair, and she was not happy about it, and she punches him in the face and knees him in the groin, and then punches him in the face again, and basically insults him, saying he's always going to be alone for the rest of his life, and it's on repeat. So it happens many times, many, many times, like nonstop. So before he gets put in there, Loki tells Morbius that, um, you know, you're all variants. You don't realize that you were taken from your lives and brainwashed. You didn't get created for this. You got kidnapped. So Morbius throws him in the time prison, and then it's, I don't want to say it's obvious, but it's definitely clear that Morbius is not. It's not that he doesn't believe. It's not that he believes Loki. It's more the fact that maybe there's some truth to what his lies are, because always when he tells something that there's some sort of truth behind it, it's not a complete and utter falsehood. It's, it at least has some sort of truth to it. So he's curious as to what it is. So he starts walking around. He asks the judge to interview Sylvie, and she denies it. So he wanted to interview the TVA agent um, who was taken by Sylvie. And she said she's already been erased. Oh, no, no, I'm sorry, she's already dead. What do you mean? And she's like, it got worse. The mind trick that was done to her eventually just caused so much damage that she couldn't even talk anymore. And she died. So Maurice wasn't happy with that comment, so he leaves to deal with his Loki and how Sylvia was not to be allowed to be touched by him. So he goes on his way back to talking to Loki. He goes by the prison where Sylvia is, and he sees all the guards, and apparently two of them were badly beaten, and saying how that they've taken care of her for now. Now the larger black woman, who was one of the guards, asked Morbius if Loki said anything. He's like, no, nothing that's truthful. And so he asks her why, and she doesn't ask. So it's clear that she has some doubts on what's going on, but not quite sure what those doubts are. So anyway, Loki is put back into the time prison again, after being talked to. Because what he does is he tries to bring Loki back to have a conversation with him, and Loki doesn't give him much information. And because of that, Morbius just gets pissed off, puts him back in. Because Morbius wants to find out more information. So he signs the paperwork saying that Loki's case is over and that he knows everything he needs to know. So he goes to talk to the judge again. Sorry. So he goes to talk to the judge again, and she claims that that the two of them are going to be presented to the timekeepers, and Morbius is allowed to be there. And he's all excited because he finally gets to meet the timekeepers. Well, so while they're having this conversation, he tells her, well, what are you going to do with your trophy, which is Sylvie's sword? Oh, I got the perfect place for it. So as she goes, he switches devices with her, and then continues the conversation for a little bit longer and then leaves. So he leaves, and she's kind of surprised, but doesn't put two and two together yet. So he leaves to go figure out what I imagine the judge has, because I'm assuming her device has more information on it than his. So we have a cutaway of Sylvie um, being interrogated by the woman, B12, I believe is her number. And she opens up a portal, and the two of them go through, and they're back in Alabama with the hurricane. And she basically wants to know more about what's going on because she wants to know if it was memories that were put inside her head or if it was her actual memories. So Sylvie's like, I can't create them. I can only enhance what's already there. So she shows her everything, and because of that, she's on her side. So they leave, apparently. So Morbius is now in the library listening to the interrogation of the guard that was taken by Sylvie. And how she was like, I was a variant all along, we're all variants. And she makes it very clear. And then he sees the judge in the picture, where now he knows, at least Morbius is aware, that the judge was lying to him. He's not quite sure exactly what she was lying about in detail, like exactly to the extent of the lies, but he's aware that there's some shifty stuff going on. So he goes in to Loki's time prison and talks to him and tells him that he's going to work with him. Two of them leave. The judge and several guards are there to stop him. So Morbius tries to kind of talk it out, but doesn't work out. He gets eliminated. He gets stabbed with the glowy thing, and he gets erased. So she captures Loki and brings him over to the Timekeepers. As this is going on, also, she goes to pick up Sylvie, who she finds out is wet. So she knows that she left the area, and she knows that B12 is not on their side anymore. Um, so she brings Sylvie and Loki with her, and they go up to the Timekeepers. They get to the Timekeepers. The Timekeepers are basically spewing out nonsense about how they shouldn't exist, and then that's when the elevator opens up. It's B12. She releases the collars, and all out brawl goes out. And they fight, and then it looks like pretty much everyone's knocked down except for the Lokis and the Timekeepers. Sylvie throws something at one of the Timekeepers, rips off its head, falls down. They look at the head. It is actually a robot. So the Timekeepers do not exist. That being said, things continue, and Loki gets erased. Sylvie and the judge fight it out, and she wins the fight, and she basically tells her, "You're going to tell me everything." And the episode ends. And then there is an after credit scene, which blew my mind out of the water. Okay? Loki wakes up, he's on some planet and timeline, and there were three Lokis looking at him and a Thor. And none of them are Lokis and Thors we've seen before. There's an old Loki who looks exactly like the comic book character. There is young Loki. There is alligator Loki. I am not making this up. And Thor. And this Thor is an African American Thor. And yeah, that's how the episode ends. So a lot to unpack. Okay, first off, one of the interactions Morbius has with one of with B12 is talking about how we've dealt with so many variants before, Krees, Skrulls, and vampires, and the two Lokis are the worst ones. So vampires do exist in the MCU. Um, it's official. Um, Timekeepers do not exist. I am claiming it right now that Kang the Conqueror controls everything. He's trying to create a timeline that to his bring him to power. That's why he's creating the sacred timeline. So that way he can make sure that everything that's supposed to happen for him happens. That being said, we also found out that when people get deleted, they don't actually get deleted. It seems like they get teleported. Where I think they get teleported is to a place where Kang has already conquered and they get killed. And that's where they die. So they're not dying from the disappearance, they're dying from whatever happens when they get there. The reason why a Nexus event happens has to do with not so much that things happen outside the timeline, the sacred timeline. It's more the fact that something happens that could potentially cause a threat to Kang the Conqueror. Is what I'm thinking. Granted, I'm putting all my eggs in a basket on this one. It is Kang the Conqueror. Final scene, man. We see multiple variant Lokis and a variant Thor, and there's the potential of seeing multiple variants of other characters. We could be seeing characters that we've seen in other movies, so like Ben Affleck as Daredevil. We could see Maguire as Spider-Man. There are so many different possibilities. It is mind-blowing. So next episode, we're obviously going to find out who's in charge of the TVA officially, and we're going to learn more about where Loki is. And there's only two episodes left, and I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm assuming they're going to introduce Kang the Conqueror, but not obviously defeat him, because I feel like Kang the Conqueror is going to be the main bad guy for the next. Like he's going to be the big bad for the Avengers. Um, he's going to be the next Thanos. Yeah, yeah, a lot to take in. But for now, If you like the content you see, please like and subscribe below. And also know too, um, tomorrow starts a little event I'm going to be trying, which is the 30-day challenge. So I'm going to be doing it for the entire month of July, so I'll be doing it for 31 days, just so you're aware. But like and subscribe, and you'll get to see everything. For now, it's BCL signing out. Have a good night.